Hey, and welcome to another diversion. So this video is going to be a bit weird. It's definitely not going to be a standard video. This is me taking the components from my old PC case that had no intake fans, moving it over to a brand new one that I got specifically for air cooling because the previous one was an old one of my dad's from 2017, but as it was a business one, had no intake fans in the front, which is fine until you put a RTX 3060 in it. Then it sort of becomes a problem. And I was having overheating. I was able to stream for a bit by just putting a fan, but that's clearly not a long term solution, especially because the motherboard uh, processor, it's a 8th generation i7 and hasn't been used that much, but it's still not highest capacity, and I want to give it the best chance of lasting till I can afford a replacement to a new motherboard and CPU. But yeah, the reason I'm filming this intro and didn't during the time is because I in fact filmed it 4 times. And of course, during file transfer from my phone over to my computer, that was the one video that got corrupted. Because of course, in file transfer, it's always going to be the one that's most important to you that gets lost. Murphy's Law. But yeah, and you'll notice a lot of these are vertical, and I recorded it horizontally, but for whatever reason, my phone, it's either a hardware issue with one of the camera lenses or a software issue. Sometimes one of the lenses is blurrier than the other two, and sometimes it just switches focus and modes. So even though I'm recording horizontally, it's acting as if I'm recording vertically. So I record like this, and it's recording like this. Why? I have no idea, and to be honest, I don't care enough to fix it. Because most of the stuff I'm shooting with, this webcam. The problem is I'm recording this webcam through my computer, and I can't exactly film myself working on my computer with a webcam that needs my computer. But anyway, I hope you enjoy. I am going to be voicing over a huge chunk of this. There are some aspects where I kept the original audio. I didn't keep a lot of it because it took way longer than expected, and I just was watching Star Trek in the background, and I don't want to get copyright strike for that. But there are a couple that I just felt okay. This is there, and you may hear some heavy breathing. I apologize. I have a bit of asthma, and I wheeze every once in a while. That's why I use OBS because it's a filter that muffles the intense breathing I do after a couple of these things because I am breathing quite heavily. But that's enough of me rambling on. Hopefully, this version of the intro. Take number 3, baby, for the win. Uh, that was good. Hope you enjoy. Hope to see you here soon. And so this is my old case from Dell XPS 8930. And again, it has no intake fans. It was working pretty okay. That was up until I decided to upgrade my graphics card to an RTX 3060. It was causing overheating issues. I solved it by adding a fan, and I also decided to upgrade the RAM, just in case that was part of the issue. It turned out it wasn't, but still, it's good overall, and I decided to upgrade to Corsair Vengeance DDR4 because that's what my board supports, but two by 8 GB for 16 GB, 32 GB in total, because buying them was the cheapest. And this is how my new case looks with the same two components as you saw previously. And now we're going to show how I got to this step. And sorry about my breathing and the background noises. my dog drinking water, but as you can see, this is the inside of my case, and not a lot of airflow. Uh, and a bit unconventional with the sideways mounted power supply, but my new case is actually sideways mounted too. And again, you can see why it was having some problems with overheating. And yeah, this is just me unplugging the graphics card connector, and then I'm gonna unplug the SATA connector and the power connector for my hard drives. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of trouble because there's a latch at the front that I forgot existed. It's been a few months since I installed these. And there's me removing the main motherboard power connector. No, not main motherboard. CPU power connector. My mistake. I was thinking ahead of myself. This, I'm right, and again, you'll see this shaking cam once in a while. It's just one of my camera lenses is messed up. There's me removing the motherboard's main power, and you'll see me cut away from it because I realized I couldn't do it one-handed. It is one clip, but again, there's not a lot of room in the case especially, and to get at that one thing, I needed to keep one hand on the case as well, because as I was pulling it was doing there, but as you can see, I got it out. The connector pin is gone. And here's me removing the graphics card. First, of course, I undo the security latch, the same thing you have in your RAM, and out comes the RTX 3060. And I put it on a piece of cardboard just in case, and I eventually move it over to a separate area so I don't accidentally hit it or anything. And next, here's me removing the power supply. If you're wondering why I did this, well, mainly because I need to get everything out and disconnected before I could realistically do it. And as you can see, this is a modular power supply because, again, I wanted to save a little bit. Power supply ended up being alright. 80 plus bronze, delivering, I believe, 650 watts power, and I think I got it on sale for $60. Really, really good. But again, a lot of this will just be me repeating the same things over and over again, just because that's what it takes to do this. And it took me a lot longer than I had expected, especially considering I'm doing all the things you see me do here. I'm doing it one-handed, and this is just removing, it has a little bracket thing there, and that is mainly just to keep it nice and together as far as I saw. It may have been for something else originally, but I can't remember what. It has that little diagram piece, but I don't think it was ever included with this one that I remember. And you'll see me throughout this remove the screws with my hand, mainly because, yeah, it's kind of hard to unscrew things one-handed, and it just ended up being easier to do that. And now here I am removing the hard drive trays. This one is nice in that it has a nice mounting for the hard drives. As you can see, it has 3 of them in there, and they're all made of metal, so they're not going anywhere whatsoever. And out it comes. There we go. That's removing, and both these hard drives are just 1 TB. One's a Seagate Barracuda Compute. I think that's the one I'm removing right now. Yep, there it is. Good drives. Seagate's always pretty much the only drive I've had throughout the years that hasn't died on me. And here's me removing the RAM. Sorry again that it's not entirely in focus, but again, I'm doing this one-handed while also trying to keep the case from moving around too much by holding the side of it. And I wish I didn't have the TV on during this, but I didn't think about it too much in the moment. And it was getting on because I recorded this by firstly removing all the components and unboxing the case and then refilming things. Yeah. But here's me removing the RAM. Almost got all of them. And here's close up on the CMOS battery in the CPU plant. And out comes the RAM. Get a nice shot of that. There we go. And here's all 4 of them. They have a heat spreader on them. And again. And here's me removing the screws from the hard drive itself. And yeah. Sorry again for the weirdness going on with the camera. Again, it's just my phone cam. And it's been having some troubles as late. But yeah. All I'm doing is removing the screws. I'm using the bigger screw to get them loosened, and then I'm using the other screw that has a magnetic bit attached to it to get it out, so that way I don't lose it and it falls off the table. And what I'm trying to show you there is out comes the screws. As you can see there, this is already going on, I think, 3 hours now. Might be, I'm not exactly sure. Because I know I did this one kinda late in the day. So I think it's been about 3 hours now I've been working on this. When I expected to knock it out in one. And yeah. That was not the case, and you can tell just by looking at me how tired I am. And yeah. And here I'm showing you there's the other 1 TB drive that's Toshiba. Now this is the older of my hard drives. And now we move on to undoing the Seagate. Apologize if you hear me clearing my throat. Yeah, I filmed it much better in this one, but of course that meant for this one, my phone didn't focus, and I didn't see any of this. And truth be told, I don't know what I would have done about this autofocusing issue. Trying desperately to focus on my chin rather than what's directly in front of it, and my Star Wars shirt. That's nice. And again, I'm not going to like go and reshoot this. No way. It's too much work taking it apart again. That's why, sorry. This won't be the best quality. But to be fair, we only have about 20 more minutes to go. And I wouldn't call this a step-by-step guide. This is just me doing it. There are much more in-depth things of how to do this, but this will be a more realistic approach of if you haven't moved your components, about how poorly it will go. Because I also didn't think about, oh, some of these things might not be as easy as expect. And this section right here is me taking apart the case to get better access to the motherboard. And you can skip past this if you want. It's not huge about me taking out the components, but it is what I had to do. I just couldn't get enough of a good angle to get the motherboard out. And yeah, this is just me removing the power supply mounting tray, and also not being able to get the screw, but that's more the fact it's sideways. And again, I'm doing this one-handed, and sometimes I just had to focus on doing the thing rather than filming. You'll see me a couple times just move it into a corner, and that's just because I'm more paying attention of getting this done rather than filming. Again, I apologize for that. And these are also a bit weird because again, filming horizontally but recorded vertically. So having to switch it from horizontal to vertical is cutting off based on the aspect ratio of Blender, the software I'm using to edit this video. But can't really be helped, and it looks alright. Not the best, but you can at least tell what I'm doing. And so here we go. I removed a couple of the screws, and I don't think you can see me removing the top 3 screws, but that is what I'm doing. Oh, nope. I think I was just talking to Dad, but there we go. Nice zoom in on the Made in China sticker. And I think all of these labels are for different screw components, which it is nice that it's on there, but not hugely necessary, I would say. But might be for Dell, because I think Dell, they want to sell the businesses, they want to mass produce it. But here we go. I got out the hard drive, and this is the top of mine with those 2 are antennas. There's a fan, and the front is just my front panel I/O. This is me showing you. These 2 antennas are connected to my Wi-Fi card, and I currently am freaking out because I'm like, how do I get this out? And I decided I'm not. I'm just going to leave it in there. And here's all the parts. I got the motherboard out, and here's now me getting out the motherboard. Oh, yep. This is me removing the USB 3.0 cable. And again, these are a bit different from the new, I think, 6-pin USB headers that I saw. And I know this because I had to buy an adapter for the new Wi-Fi card. But there's the USB 3 one out, and there's the USB 2 one out. And I cut because I just didn't record it right. But there they are. That's done. That's connected to the front panel up at the top. And out comes first. Let's see, what did I pull out first? Ah, that's for the front microphone and headphone jack. Pulling that out. Giving you a nice close-up of the freckle on my hand. Now I'm going to remove the SD card reader pin. I don't know if you'd call that a pin or not. Multiple. I'm just going to say connector. And then finally, this is the panel connector, which is power, LEDs, and the reset button as well. And now there's all the screws I've taken out. And I believe this is one of the last two for the motherboard. I skipped past doing them, and you see I've noticed that capacitor is a bit off, and I'll readjust it in a second. I don't know if that's something I did or the board just had that with time, but I just lightly tapped on it and it went back into place. Now I haven't had any issues, no power things, so I think it just got knocked around by something. But yeah. Again, a nice close-up of the board in my hand. And there's the screw out. And next, there's the other one, which I believe is the last screw. And I push it down. And here's now me unboxing the new case. And I did this just to... This is what I did first, but again, the original intro got corrupted. Yay. And I do like it. I'll be honest, I chose this case because I had two main requirements. Had to come with fans, had to have two USB 3 ports at the front, and be under $100, which this was. It was $64, I believe. And yeah, it came nicely packaged, piece of foam on the bottom, two foam pieces holding it together, all wrapped. Here is it. As you can see, a lot more airflow. It looks very nice. And yeah, didn't want to deprive you of hearing that sticker peeling sound. And here's what it came with: a remote, cable ties, and a bunch of screws and things. Here are the screws. And here are the rest. And this is just me going through the menu. You can pause it if you want and have a similar type case, I guess, and wanted to see it. This is here, but again, you'd have the instructions. This is just showing. Here's optional radiators. You want to do that, and this is just the remote control and fan configuration.
Of this new case, don't get me wrong, but I've just had to ID from these images what these were because they did not have any lettering or a piece of paper on them to say what they were at all, which was a bit difficult, but not impossible.
And yeah, again, Sharpie's your friend when you do stuff like this. It wasn't too bad, but I did, you know, have to go and label all the bags because I didn't want to just randomly grow it because they're all the same color. And yeah, that was me going over the magnetic dust filter and the other dust filter. And there's one more you'll see here in a second that's on there. And once again, I'd like to apologize for my breathing. That's not really something I have a lot of control over, I've noticed. I breathe a lot more heavily than I realize. Again, here is another magnetic dust filter, and this is for the power supply intake, which is really, really nice, and I'm very nice touch. And there's all the cables, that's how they're managed, and these are the mounts for the motherboard. You just screw them into whatever board. It can support ATX, micro ATX, and also micro ITX. And this is me screwing it into the new case after I put in the threaded inserts. Fit in perfectly. Sadly enough, didn't have an I/O shield because Dell manufactures them inside the case. But there we go, and here's me putting in the RAM. And I am pushing hard, don't worry. It's just, you have to, it is DDR4 and so is the motherboard. It's just with the heatsink on, you kind of have to push it down a little bit on both sides. And now we get to watch it 3 more times while having a nice close-up of my hand, making it look even more pale than it already is. Alright. And there we go, I'm just making sure that that cable was not over in any way. As you see, I'm pushing on it slightly, and that's for the CPU fan. And I, of course, don't want to replace that. And there we go. I have the F audio in. That's that cable. That's how I did it. And there's the fan connector. And those are optional cables they included in case your motherboard had an RGB controller, which mine didn't. This is me getting rid of the panel that held the hard drive mounts. This is me, again, sharp is your best friend. This is how I knew these screws were for mounting hard drives. Even in my tired state, as you can see. But again, I'm trying to figure out how these go together because they're a bit different than the other ones, but pretty much the same. Just line up the screw holes to the hard drive, and that's it. And sorry you can't see this again. I couldn't see what this was doing, and I wasn't going to redo this, and I thought about cutting this part out, but the truth is you can see just how tired I am from doing this, how much I'm breathing through my mouth, because I'm just so exhausted at this point. And yeah, I know it's not that none of this was too difficult. I think anyone could do it realistically. It's just the time constraint of I how long I thought it was going to take versus how long it actually took, and just the realization that, hey, I have to buy a new Wi-Fi card, I also have to buy a new adapter, and having to add that expense on that I didn't really plan for. It's not that much, but again, it's just like, man, I really should have planned this better. I should have checked this things, but hey, it's I'll do it much better when I have to take everything apart to put in a brand new motherboard and CPU, which I am both looking forward to and actively despise at the same time. Funny how you can do both. But yeah, this is just me. There it is. I've now secured in I believe that's the SEAGATE drive. Yep. SEAGATE. Yay! Done. And so this one I framed a little bit better. And yeah, I'm just showing you. All you do is line up the holes on the side and screw them in. These are nice. They have little feet together, so they're spaced out. And yeah, you also mount it that way. Sorry. I'm misremembering some things because I have not slept while I'm doing this voiceover. Probably wasn't the best idea, but I'm gonna roll with it because this video is already not turned out as well as I hoped it would. So I'm just gonna get it out there. And I enjoy it, honestly. Doing this process and recording it and editing it. As much of a headache, as much as painful things when I realized it didn't go as well as I hoped it would. It has made me excited about doing things like this in the future. And hopefully you'll see some of that soon. But there we go. Yay. And yeah, you heard Star Trek for a second there. I just wanted you to hear the nice, satisfying click. And I got the power supply on, off there, and here's the mess of cables. I've plugged in a lot of things. I plugged in the power wrongly. And here's me removing the tray that is just covering up the screws for the PCIe add-ons slots. I like this. It has a nice cover to it. And again, the Dell, I think, was pressure held in when it was closed. These are screwed. Are I like it. I get why some people don't if they constantly need to remove and do it, but it actually adds a lot for your hard drive's stability. Once I screwed the two in for the GPU, oh, completely got rid of all the slack, and this is why I'm glad I'm using magnetic bit. Nearly just lost that screw there. These screws are not really magnetic. And here's a nice close-up of me screwing it out. It's, again, one hand. And so here's me removing the card slot. And here's me pushing in the graphics card and getting caught on the side of the case because I didn't realize it had a little groove there. And here we go. Don't worry, I'm being gentle even. It's just camera shaking. Yeah, that's just the camera shaking. Don't worry about that. And there we go. The graphics card in. And now I did one screw first just to make sure, and there's me nearly screwing it up. And again, just that one camera lens. The other two are fine. Just this one camera lens that I think is screwing everything up, and I don't know if it's hardware or software. And there's the last screw for the graphics card. And here's me putting back on the cover for the screws. There we go. If you heard that sound, that is my water dropping back down into the glass. And there we go. There's pretty much everything plugged in. And here is it working. You can see the gestures, how absolutely ecstatic I am that it's working. And then we'll see in a second why I shouldn't be so ecstatic. And you see the nice cable management holes there. But that was just me checking. Turns out these here for the front panel connector I didn't read these at first, and the error it's giving me is because if you see there at number 9, front panel detect, I think that's what it stands for. My case does not have a plug for that, because why would it have a plug for a Dell connector from 2017? But yeah, I can still use it just fine. And here's me putting in a 1TB SSD got from PlayStation after we upgraded the storage. There's me screwing it in blurry. There's the old Wi-Fi card that I realized, yep, it's connected at antennas there, and there's no way I'm getting that out of there, so I'd have to buy a new one. And here it is. I gave you a nice overview of the box. If you want to pause it, just take a look there. It's a TP-Link AC 1200. And there's me plugging it in to the PCIe slot. And there was just the adapter I had to buy to make the Bluetooth work on it. And this is how I went from this being my old case. There's the progress I made and how long it took me to take everything apart. And here it is now fully. I hope you enjoyed this diversion. Hope to see you again soon. And hope you enjoy the new content. Bye bye.